When you do start making money, you realize that the money is not what you're chasing. You're chasing something different and you're just trying to figure it out. I do think that a lot of it comes down to your peace. Your relationship with God is really what we're chasing, because we're chasing a void of some sort. And we try to fill it in any way, shape, or form through money and things and stuff.
What's up, faithful agents? I am so excited to introduce my new co-host for the show, Cole Ordiway. Been a buddy for a long time. Cole, I am so excited you're here. Man, we just had a great conversation with Shae, Spitz. Everybody needs to listen to this episode. She was honest. It was raw. What do they need to take away? What do they need to be prepared for?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Garrett. We talked about everything from how do you spend time with your husband and create intentional moments with that. We talked about open houses. Are they useful? How do we use them? How does Shae use them? And then finally, how do we as Christian agents, as faithful agents, run our business and not forget about everybody else around us? And most importantly, she started by telling a story that changed her life in the last 2 months. And it was simply someone picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, how are you? How can I pray for you?"
So good. Y'all are going to want to listen to this entire episode. I can't wait for you to hear our interview with Shae Spitz. All right, everybody, you know that even with my new co-host, this would not be a Faithful Agent episode without Christian dad jokes. Now, here's the good news. You get more than just mine now. So Cole and I are going to see who can make the other person laugh. So Cole, you are younger, you're prettier, you're new. Why don't you go first, buddy? Let's hear what you got.
All right, Garrett, did you hear about the trendy Christian couple who named their 4 kids River, Brooks, Sage, and Stone?
I did not.
Well, the church dedication service was going beautifully, right up until the pastor looked out at the congregation and said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone."
Okay, well, sticking with that stone theme, who is the greatest babysitter mentioned in the Bible?
I don't know who.
David. He rocked Goliath to sleep.
Oh my gosh. That
Now,
was terrible.
if you think Cole's was better, then leave us a 5-star review. If you think mine was better, leave us a 5-star review. Now on to the episode. Today, I'm joined by Shae Spitz, real estate professional, wife, mom of 3. And Shae has sold more than $95 million in real estate, helped over 360 families buy and sell homes, all while building a business and raising a family alongside her husband. And what I appreciate most about Shae is her passion for helping women pursue success without losing sight of what matters most. And honestly, I think this conversation will resonate with anyone who's ever felt the tension between building a successful business and being fully present at home. Shae, welcome to the show. Now, I was going to ask you a question, but you got excited about a story. And you said, we got to talk about that. So you know what? Just kick us off with the story. I'd love to hear it, and we'll see where the Lord takes us from there.
Yeah, so I just get excited about this just because God shows up in mysterious ways. And really, I started building my faith probably within the last 3-4 years, really within the last 2. I think God sees how much closer I get to him when I go through hard times. So he's like, oh, let me throw this at you. Oh, let me throw that at you.
Sure.
So been going through some tough things professionally, but then also personally with some family members and illnesses and stuff. But I was walking at Menards, and one of my sponsors in EXP is Brent Gove. So anybody who's in, at EXP knows Brent Gove, and anybody who's in the real estate world probably knows Brent Gove. He's amazing. But he's one of my sponsors, and I've just built a great relationship with him over the years. And he randomly called me while I was walking through Menards. And he's like, Randy Bird was filling me in on what's going on with your life. And he's like, can I just take a moment to pray for you? So I stopped right there in Menards, and he prays over me. I'm sitting there, I'm crying. And actually, it was a good day. So I wasn't stressed really about anything, but just the fact that he thought of me and called me and started praying over me while I'm standing there in Menards. And then right after, I could even show you the clips and stuff, but right after we got off the phone, he sends me a text message and said, oh my gosh, look at the egg exit that we had to take because him and Randy go golfing all the time. So they were going golfing, but the exit that they had to take as soon as we got off the phone was Shae Boulevard.
Wow.
And they go to the golf course and it was right there on Shae Boulevard. So he's sending me all of these text messages and he's like, God is great. God is amazing. And so like that just gives me chills because I mean,
cool.
I just go off the phone. Shae's not a very unique name. Or it's not a very
common,
not a very common name.
Yeah.
And so he sent me these screenshots. So I thought that was so cool. It was just
That's amazing.
I cried even more. So
yeah. Now, what is Menards? You said it a couple times. Maybe
it's kind of like a Home Depot.
Oh, okay,
Here in
got it.
Nebraska. It's just
Got it.
smaller
Do you know what that is, Cole? I mean,
I never heard
East
of that like
Coasters.
that.
So I'm like Lowe's and Home
That's
Depot.
funny.
I don't
Yeah,
know
Lowe's
what
and Home
Menards-
Depot. It's a smaller version of that for
Nice.
Wait,
Okay, that's awesome.
us Midwesterners.
Speaking of Shae, did you even say where you're from? I don't think I got
Nebraska.
that. Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been in real estate how long, Shae?
8 years, and I've been with
Wow,
EXP
okay.
for 3. So
Okay, and you're doing a lot of transactions, right?
I
Each
do
year.
about 80 a year.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Okay, and so is it you? Is it a team? What does that look like?
So it's me, and then I have a transaction coordinator, and then I
Nice.
have a virtual assistant who like does my social media marketing and postcards and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's
Okay.
me as the agent, then I have a transaction coordinator, which she's a game changer. So
Is she also showing for you, or
once in a while, no, not really. She does have her real estate license, and so occasionally, like if I can't get to it, I'm usually working my buyers. But she'll help fill in if I can't get to showings and stuff like that. So it's usually just me.
wow?
That's awesome. So
I couldn't do it without her. I will.
yeah.
100%.
Well, we talked about, pre-show, the first question was going to be about the tension of building a business, running, especially at that volume, right? While trying to raise your kids and be present with your husband. I mean, how do you do that, right? What does that look like? What are the challenges maybe and things maybe you put in place to try to make that better?
Yeah. So, so she handles like if I need purchase agreements, listing agreements prepped and stuff like that. She handles like basically contract close. Essentially, she orders inspections. She puts my signs out, my lock boxes for the most part. So she really is a game changer. But I mean, I have different systems and processes, especially when it comes to even like buyer contracts. Now that you have to have things signed, what I have found is I do BombBomb. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that.
Sure.
But instead of me meeting with buyers in advance or, trying to explain all the documents to them in person right there when you're at the showing, like that's just a complete waste of time. I mean, it's not because you have to do it now, but I actually now put them into my CRM. I send them the video that explains the documents, and then I send them the documents to sign electronically. And I don't have anybody who gives me kickback. Once in a while, they'll say, hey, we'll sign in person. We just have a few questions. Great. So it's just kind of setting up certain systems to be able to leverage your time. I've really been good about like my kids have activities pretty much every night of the week and I'm not missing them. Like I'm not. It's not even a question like, hey, can you show it to me tonight at 6? No, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but no, I have kids activities. So, and I think once you start setting those boundaries, people start to respect you a whole lot more.
That's awesome.
100%.
So how has that been something that you started with? Is it something you've realized along the way? How are you navigating that? Yeah.
Definitely did not start with it.
Yeah.
Definitely did not start with it. Definitely a lot of trial and error. And I will say I'm not perfect at it. I'm not great at my biggest problem. I'm usually good about being present physically. A lot of times it's mentally that I'm not present. And so my husband and I went through some tough times last year because I had some family stuff go on the year prior or 2 years prior. It was a nightmare. So a lot of my focus went to my family, not my kids necessarily, but my siblings, and my dad with health problems and cancer and all of that. So a lot of my focus and attention and time went to them. So then I felt like when I was here, I had to focus more on business because I'm also the breadwinner. So then I was like focusing on business. So I wasn't there mentally and emotionally with my family. So my husband and I went through some hard times. And one of the things that we really check in on is having those hard conversations. I have to remind him like, hey, if I'm on my phone too much, or if I'm doing something that you're not liking or it bothers you, you have to say something. Like if I ask you like, hey, I'm going to do some open house, or I might do some open houses this weekend. What are your thoughts? Like, let me know if you don't want me to. Let me know if you'd rather go spend some time. Because otherwise my mind is like, oh wait, I gotta work.
Mm.
I'm constantly going. And so that's one of the biggest things that we've really I've had to remind him is like, hey, say something in the moment if it's bothering you,
Mm.
and that took a while for him to do that too, because it's kind of awkward
Mm.
to bring it up, like you're not arguing, but you don't want to bring something up and turn it into an argument. So that was one thing that he had to kind of learn to do, was bring that to my attention. And then I also had to learn to not get defensive when he
Mm.
says, hey, Shae, you've really been on your phone a lot lately. To me, I'm like, well, that's because I'm working. I got 16 transactions closing this week or
Mm.
this month, and I have, 17 listings and blah, blah. I could easily get defensive. But I'm like, okay, no, that's how he feels. I need to learn to, I'm like, okay, you know what? You are right. I have been, and I realize that. And so
Mm.
it's having those conversations, especially right there in the moment, and bringing it up. Otherwise, if you try to bring it up later, then you're going to get defensive. Like, I haven't, you're on your phone all the time too, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all do that.
Never
But
done that. Cole's
yeah.
probably never done that. We're perfect husbands.
Oh yeah,
And I'm
100%.
a perfect
yeah.
wife.
I was thinking, Shae, what are aside? It sounds for the listener, I want them to think about, well, not just being on the defensive, but getting ahead of those things. Are there any other structures or systems that you use? Before bed. Hey, what do you have going on tomorrow, or what do you have going on this weekend? Do you have other systems like that where you're kind of preparing each other to spend more time with each other, or just give notice?
Yeah. So Wednesdays, we always get together for lunch, or he eats and I just watch him eat. I don't know. But anyway, so like today we talk about, okay, hey, what does the next week look like for the kids? Because especially with summer activities. And then also like he helped with 4-H this year. It was a night. I can't stand 4-H, but anyway, he helped with all of that. So he get them registered for all of that. He's helping with their sports activities and coaching. And so just making sure that he understands how much I appreciate him when he handles all of that is huge. But so every Wednesday we get together for about an hour and a half, and we talk about his business, my business, kids' activities, where they're going during the day, what camps they have going on, who's taking them where and when, like, do we need to find somebody to watch the kids? Are they going to stay home? So that's one thing that we do on Wednesdays, is kind of look at that. Not always do we get through everything, because, an hour and a half isn't very long when you have 500 other things happening too. But then also on Sundays, it's called the State of the Union discussion. And full transparency, we did couples counseling last year. And this was the two things, many other things, but that she had strongly recommended was the Wednesday meeting of, looking forward, planning out the week, and then Sundays, or whenever you want to, do your State of the Union discussion, which is how did I show up as your wife or your husband? What could I have done better? What do you need from me? And you want to make sure that you're not going at them in a condescending way or putting them down. You don't be like, well, you did this and you didn't do that. Like you need to explain to them like, hey, I feel this when this, and I need this. Like, that's the other thing, is like, I need you to be able to do this. Like, I need you to, his thing is like having that emotional connection, is I need you to be present when you're home. It's not like I need you to be home. No, I need you to be present when you're home. Because I think men are bad about explaining what they actually need. They're good about letting us know sometimes, like, you're on your phone too much, or whatever it is. How about, hey, Shae, like, I've noticed that you've been on your phone a lot more lately. It really makes me feel distant from you, and I need you to be I need you to be here with us to be more present. So it's a little bit of a different way of actually approaching the situation versus just telling me what I'm doing wrong. And it goes in reverse. Like, women are really good about telling the men what they're doing wrong, and we never explain what it is that we actually need.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything to that because my wife might listen, but yeah, I mean, I think conceptually that's possible. I love those concepts. And I think, one of the hardest parts about real estate is it perpetuates the challenge on the marriage, right? It's like we're always on. If you're going to succeed at any level, there's going to be long seasons where you feel like you're always on. And I mean, how many times when I was day to day, knee deep in selling, where my wife would be like, "Hey, are you here?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm sitting right here." She's like, "Are you here?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I'm not here." And so I had to I created where at 4:30 to 5:30 every single day, I turn my phone off, like physically off. Right. And like, I'm here right now. I'm right here, right, with you guys. But it's so difficult. It perpetuates this idea because then you roll into your meeting with clients or you're on social media or whatever. You can't be like, "Hey guys, ready to buy a house? My marriage is struggling." Like, all right, well, we don't want to hear that. And so we have to put on a face, and we're always on, and we're wrestling, we're struggling with all these things, right? And so, it's this spot where if you don't fight for it, it's never going to happen.
No.
I mean, we've got 5 kids, right? And so at the end of the day, and even though I'm, able now to end my day at 4:30 or 5 every day and don't work, on weekends anymore, whatever, still we get to the end of the day, we finally gotten the kids down, and my wife and I look at each other, we're like, we haven't even seen each other, for days on end, and we should hang out. And then it's like, yeah, but I'm super tired. Let's go to bed. And so am I, so it's hard because it feels like, you said, Shae, you protect those kid things, right? My wife said to me just the other day, like, what's hard for her is that she feels like it's easy for me to show up for the kid things, easy for me to, sit down on the couch and snuggle the kids. But at the end of the day, like, do you have energy left for me? And it's like, man, I don't often, and I need to figure that out. What does that look like? How do I do those things? So it's just hard. And this industry perpetuates that because we feel like we've got to be always on. We've got to show up for our clients, right? How do we do that? It's like, hey, it's just for my business. What do you mean? What am I supposed to do? That's tough, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough place to be. What do you think on that, Cole? I know we've had some conversations around that too, just the challenges of that. What are your thoughts there, buddy?
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to what Shae was saying in terms of expectation. I really like how my wife is now, we'll put the kids to bed and she'll basically say, "Hey, what are your expectations for the next 2 hours? If we get the kids down by 7:30 and we've got these 7:30 to 9:30, hey, what are your expectations?" Because if I'm out on the couch and all of a sudden I'm out working again and writing a contract, my headspace is not thinking about her. But if she gets to me first, or even while I'm in that space and she says, "Hey, what are your expectations?" And I can say, "Hey, I really need 45 minutes to write this contract and do this, this, and this." And she says, "Great, I'm going to go shower. When I'm done, can we hang out?" And then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, you're right. Okay, let's set a timer for 45 minutes. If I'm not done, I'm not done. But my marriage is more important, and I'll wake up at 4:45 instead of 5:30.
That's good. Yeah. How do you all manage that, right? This industry feels like they're speed. I mean, you're doing 80 deals a year, Shae. There's a lot happening. A lot of people need your time and attention. Have you started to tell people no, or I'll get to that in the morning or whatever? I think so much of the fear, and I'd love for you to speak, so much of the fear of agents that I coach is like, well, I got to have good customer service. I can't tell them no. Like, yeah, you can, don't do it all the time. But how have you navigated that?
So it was very hard for me at first. To kind of set those boundaries. But like I was saying before, I feel like when you do start setting those boundaries, people will start to respect you more. Now, could you potentially lose some clients? Yeah, maybe, but those aren't the clients I want to work with. When I'm doing 80 transactions a year, I mean, if I'm losing a couple of them, like I actually had one fire me and I let him go. It was a listing because he was upset that I wasn't taking his phone calls at 11 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning. Not doing that. So he actually came in to talk to me about it, and I had the addendum to release him ready. I'm like, "Do you want us here? We can do that. I'm totally fine with it." But when you start setting those expectations, or like a lot of times there has been kind of a time crunch, but I'll let the people know, "Hey, you know what? I have baseball and softball tonight. When I get home, we will, I'll get to working on that purchase agreement, or that purchase agreement usually, or I'll just tell them, "Hey, I'll get to it tomorrow." And they're just going to have to be okay with it. I have just gotten to the point where I'm not going to worry about it. It does help that I have my transaction coordinator who's prepping the documents. That's a game changer because I'm not spending 20, 30 minutes preparing the documents. I can send everything over to them electronically. Dotloop and social media, or Dotloop has really been a game changer when it comes to being able to do transactions. Whereas before I was at the office a lot more because I had to actually sit in front of them and do that when I first started. So that was a big game changer, is when everything went to like electronic signatures. But another thing that that's really, so when it comes to setting boundaries, it's tough. But I think you just got to start doing it. It's kind of like leveraging your time. When you start leveraging your time, you're like, what else can I get rid of? Like this
Yeah.
is amazing, you know? And so when you start setting those boundaries, you realize like, no, I try not to look at my phone. I listen to my Bible app every morning, so I obviously look at my phone for that. But I try not to look at my emails, try not to get on social media. Have I done it? Do I do it? Yes, occasionally. But I know if I do, I go down this rabbit hole. So I try to stay outside my phone, aside from the Bible app. I get up, do my Bible app, do my workout, we get the kids ready off to school, and then I can jump onto it. So I really try to set those boundaries of like no work in the morning. Now, obviously, it gets frustrating when I have this whole thing of text messages and I'm trying to get to my Bible app. So then now my mind's there. The other thing that when iPhone now allows you to pre-schedule text messages, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I brought this up to many people and nobody had any idea.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Danger for me. Because in my mind, like if I have something to do and I can't get it taken care of, it just stews. And I'm like, I used to write it all down, but then I would leave it at home and it was a whole thing. Where now, at least if I have like a text message that I need to send out, as long as they have an iPhone, I can pre-schedule it. Like I literally pre-scheduled something to go out 2 weeks from now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that far in advance.
Yeah.
I'm going to start texting you like that, Cole. I'm going to text you at 3 a.m. and see if you respond. That's what I'm going to do.
I dare you. It just blows my mind how far back iPhone users are. I've been able to do this for 3.5 years now as a Google.
All right, dude. Android people are weird.
I know. Sorry, don't kick me off the show, please.
I was say, Garrett, you can't have Cole as your co-host.
Shae, do you want to be the co-host?
You see the quality of my camera? Yeah, that's probably why. Okay. One of the things, going back to that, Shae, is it's amazing to me that the more intentional I am with my time and telling my clients that, the better my business is and the better I feel about my clients. Like I recognize that I actually was having bitterness because I was losing my time when I could have simply just set the expectation and say, hey, listen, I don't work Sundays and I have 4 kids and 6 o'clock and later. If you get a response from me, it's just a bonus. It's not the norm. There was a season in my business where when I had clients sign buyer agency agreements, I was actually putting a small clause in the end, just like handwritten or whatever on a Google Doc that said, hey, I'm going to take care of you to the best of my abilities. I have a family and I would never be able to see them if I always worked on Sundays. So I don't work on Sundays and I'm probably not going to work after 6, but I will take care of you. And they would have to initial it. And I actually really loved that. I had a client after my wife delivered, I think, baby number 2, and it was on a Sunday and she called me and then she hung up immediately. And so I texted her, I said, hey, are you okay? And she said, I totally forgot it was Sunday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
It's good.
It's crazy. You start setting those boundaries and people will respect you so much more. They really do. I like that clause. I don't have that clause in there, but
yeah, that's good. They're so like you call the doctor's office, they're not open whenever you want them to be. That's how the entire world is, right? Agents were convinced. And the old school mentality is like, you're open 24/7. Yeah, you can go to, I'm like the first job I interviewed for in real estate. He's like, yeah, you can go to church Sunday, but then you better come right to the office. I'm like, dang, dude, is this how it is? And that is how it is for them, right? So, we fell into that mindset. Now, I think a huge piece of this, right? So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, Shae, into lead generation, because so much of this conversation that I think agents miss is that one of the reasons we want to be excellent in generating deals and generating opportunity, right, is number one, it honors the Lord by being excellent. But number two, you can't protect your time as well if you don't have an abundance of business. Because if it's like, I got 3 deals and I got to close all of them, then you're going to do whatever the heck you got to do. Yeah. And those are the agents that tend to be running around crazy, right? Because freedom in this business, in my opinion, is choice of who I work with. To your point, you're not going to fire that seller if that's the one that's supposed to pay your mortgage. Right. You're going to answer the phone at 11. You're going to hate it. So shifting gears to lead generation, I mean, 80 transactions a year is awesome. Where are those coming from? And maybe let's dive into a little bit of that. But where's most of that coming from?
Quick question for you. Did you get into real estate to create more freedom for yourself and for your family, to live a more faith-filled and purposeful life? Now, if that is true, and I believe it probably is, let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you're having to be on your phone almost around the clock? And do you feel like you oftentimes have to work weekends when you'd rather be at church or with your family? Or do you feel like you're constantly chasing attention on social media? Now, does all that feel like freedom? For many, it does not. The good news is this. The Homeowner Concierge is a simple platform that scales your referral relationships. It's not just dependent upon the relationships that you have, but the referral relationships that your preferred vendors have. Now, if you're interested again in having more referrals, so much that you don't have to live in scarcity, you can live in abundance, and you can have that freedom that you desired, I want you to go to proinsight.com/faithful. Like the Faithful Agent podcast. Again, it's proinsight.com/faithful. You're going to watch a quick video there. If what you see there resonates, you're going to schedule some time together, and I'll walk you through how we're helping real estate agents to, again, scale their referral relationships and finally get the freedom that you desire.
Yeah. So last year alone, 76% was repeat referrals. So I like to keep track, and I actually have I have a CRM, I have all of that, but I actually like to have an Excel spreadsheet. It's an easy, quick snapshot for me to just kind of look at. And then it just tells me specifically where it all comes from. Again, I know CRMs do that too. Mine does it too, but
Yeah.
the Excel, I don't know, for whatever reason, I like it. So last year was 76% was repeat referrals. And I would say about 10% was Zillow, maybe not quite 10%, but still enough for me to pay them. And I roll my
rolled your eyes. For anyone listening to the audio. Yeah, right.
I roll my eyes because I was a little late to this because I was on a call with my Zillow rep and they're changing things. And I'm like, I don't want to say I went off on her. I'm like, you made me sign a contract. Now you guys are changing this. Like this that's not how it should be. Whatever. Wow. That's a whole thing.
So why, real quickly then, to dive into that, why are you using that if you're getting so much business from other places?
Because it still made sense. Like I paid about $14,000 last year into Zillow. And I generated 65. So like,
So from an ROI. Yeah.
It still makes sense. Is it annoying? Yes, but it still makes sense. But now they're trying to push everybody to the Zillow Flex, and I'm not having that. Like I'm not on board with that because
which is what, a referral fee?
Yeah, it's like 40%. Like
whoa.
Yeah, insane. Just insane. And I'm like, I can generate my own leads.
Yeah, right.
But I like paying for Zillow to give to the other agents who are kind of like not on my team, but they're with EXP I'm their sponsor and stuff.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So repeat referrals is a big thing, but I do a lot of things that I can like set it and forget it. So like listeners, I feel like this has been a make or break for me. It's literally a set it and forget it. I have a VA who handles all of this anymore, but I used to do it myself. And it's just a one-time thing upon closing. So the first thing I do is anybody who purchases a home with me, I set them up on what's called, and seller. I've done that for sellers too. Like if they're moving out of state, but I didn't represent them, I'll also set them up on it. But it's called tpmco.com. And it's called the follow-up plan. So you pay $35 and that automatically sends them 2 postcards and 2 newsletters every year for 5 years. $35 and that's it. You go in there after you close, put in their information, their address, and it's a set it and forget it. So that's the number one thing. And now my VA is going back and renewing everybody who expired within the last 3 years. And then the other thing that we started doing is called amcards.com. So you pay like a $34 monthly subscription, but then that goes back to your credits on the cards that you send out. So those are more like one-off things. So like somebody just had a baby, so then you can just send, and they're really nice little gifts. It's a card, really nice card, and you can send like a box of brownies, Amazon gift card, whatever it is. If people have sent me referrals, I'll send them a thank you card through AM Cards as well. But another thing that my VA will do is after every closing for buyers, so the TPMCO is for buyers and sellers is how I do it. But then the amcards.com is a 1-year drip campaign. So after 1 week or 1 month, I don't remember what it is. It sends out a thank you like, hey, congratulations. It's been 1 month since you purchased your home, blah, 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 blah. Then it sends them out another one at month 3. And there's I uploaded a QR code to ask them to write me a Google review. And then also sending them another congratulations. And then at 6 months, something along those lines. And then at 1 year, they actually get a box of brownies. So after every closing, and I get a notification when that box of brownies is delivered. So then I go in and I'll actually send them a text like, hey, I pre-schedule my text messages. Get it?
Nice.
But,
can you do it a year from now? I mean, on Apple probably because Android's terrible. Oh, okay.
No, I don't pre-schedule a year. I will get a message like 5 days before the delivery of the brownies.
Got it. That's
I'll get
cool.
an email, and then that's when I pre-schedule
Smart.
it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if they're an Android, I can't pre-schedule it.
You wouldn't want to send them anything anyways.
I know. I don't.
Yeah,
I should
what
just
losers.
remove that brownie packet anyway. But
Right. That's
yeah,
right.
that's the other thing that they get is so like after closing, my VA goes in there, puts in their information. They get a card at 3 months, 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, and 1 year. And you can set it up however you want. But that alone right there, I think is like a $36 thing. So they're going to get 8 touches in the first year from me without me doing anything extra, like client appreciation event.
Smart.
Or like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So those are the two things. If an agent is looking for like a set it and forget it thing, those are the two things that I do. And I feel
That's
like
cool.
it has made such a difference.
AM cards and TPMCO, correct?
Yep.
I have not heard of
Okay.
either of
I've never
those.
heard of that one.
Yep.
Yeah. I knew
Come
what
on.
AM cards was. So, okay. So you got that 76, you got 10% from Zillow. What's the other 14% coming from? Because you do a lot of open houses. At least I see that on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
So, what are those for? Where, are those generating you deals?
So last year, I'm just looking it up right here. So looks like I had like 3 from open houses.
Okay.
That led to a buyer or them selling and buying. Another one was Google has been a big one. So I shouldn't say a big one, but I probably had 5 or 6 transactions that came specifically from Google that they called me directly off of Google.
They just Googled and found you.
Google top real estate agent. I actually just had somebody tell me the other day, they're like, hey, good job on being the top female agent in your area. I thought that's
Wow.
They said female, but she said that she chatted it in ChatGPT, said, hey, give me one of the top agents in the Columbus area. And my name came up. She said I was the first one. I was like, I don't know how I do that. I think that's a Google thing.
Yeah.
So Google reviews is a big thing. Like I'm trying to get to 200 reviews. Not there, 200 5-star reviews. I think I'm at 146 or something like that.
Awesome.
So if you guys want to go in there, anybody listening, if you want to give me a 5-star Google review, please do. My goal is 200. That's a lot, but
nice.
it's okay.
If
But
you send us brownies, I mean, I think that's fine.
I will send you.
Right, Cole?
I will send you brownies. I will absolutely do that. I'm telling you guys, those work. It is the craziest thing. I had a friend give me 2 referrals, so I sent them a couple different brownies, and her husband literally told her, oh my gosh, these brownies are so good. You need to send Shae more referrals.
Nice. That's
I will make them myself and hand deliver them.
Right. That's awesome.
I'm not going to. I don't like to bake, but
yeah. But you'll pay someone. So okay, let me dig in a little because I'm super curious from your mindset. So putting a coaching hat on, you're doing 80 transactions. You got 3, I think you said, from open house. Is that right?
Yeah.
And are you doing a lot of open houses? Like my question to you is why? What's the value of an open house to you if you could buy back that time? And I'm just curious. I've never done an open house in 12 years, so I don't know how they work. Are they generating buzz? It's only 3 closed deals, but what is it? Is it a value prop to your seller? Like what's the point of the open house?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to the value proposition to the seller. And a lot of times they'll ask me, hey, are you going to be doing open houses? And I'm bringing on an agent who I'm hoping that he will start handling basically all of those. But that's what I would do is I would like to have a local agent who handles basically all of my open houses because I don't want to. Kind of like you, Cole. I don't work Sundays. I've had sellers ask me like, hey, could you do an open house on Sundays? No, I don't work Sundays. I'll respond to messages and stuff like that, but I'm not going to go out there and do showings and stuff like that. But I think it's a value proposition. I also think that I've generated a lot of other leads from there too, like listing leads that maybe haven't closed yet or didn't close last year, things like that.
From doing an open house, like you could tie it to doing an open house. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet last year alone, I probably got 5 listings because people saw me doing open houses.
Interesting. Go ahead, Cole.
My question is, are you doing open houses after the home has been listed for more than 2 weeks? Or are you doing them? Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Just constantly doing them until it sells, basically.
Yeah. I've actually started doing a lot of them during the week. Most of my open houses are during the week, like over the lunch hour or maybe early after or later afternoon, like 3:30 to 5. So I'm still able to get home at a decent time. And then I'll maybe do like 1 or 2 on Saturdays once in a while. So it's primarily during the week. I'll do like 11:30 to 1 o'clock. Especially like right now, a lot of people are so busy in the evenings and weekends with sports activities that honestly, weekends just kind of suck for open houses right now. They really do. So I've just been able to hit people through over the lunch hour, or maybe before activities and after work, things along those lines. June is just a really bad time for open houses. I'll be fully transparent, but it does appease my sellers, and it's just a slower market. It's a slower market, so you kind of have to do a little bit more legwork. And I don't like it, but it is.
Yeah, I asked that.
Yeah.
I'm curious on that too. So I guess I'm going to share my open house, and I'm going to see what you say, Garrett, and then you two say, Shae, is if I'm going to do an open house, I'm going to do it during the first 2 weeks, primarily my first full weekend. If I list a house on, let's say, Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm probably not going to do it that first weekend, but I'll do it the following.
Right.
But in my ideal world, I'm going to list it on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then the following weekend, I'm going to do an open house, because if an agent is going to go show it, then like a buyer's agent, it's probably going to be Thursday or Friday. And then if, my idea of an open house is the bridge between lurking and looking. And so if I'm either going to procure that buyer, it's going to be on that weekend. Or if I'm going to procure the buyer through another buyer's agent because the buyer's agent doesn't want to show on a Saturday, that's fine enough with me. I should be able to sell it better than they can anyways. So I'm curious, but I'm also engaged on a Tuesday afternoon at 11:30. I don't know anybody in my world that's doing that.
I started doing that, and I noticed that a lot of other agents in our area have asked or have started doing that too. Just because I was having so many listings that I couldn't get them all fit in, especially when I stopped working Sundays, and I wasn't going to jeopardize that. But I've actually, the weirdest time I had an open house, but that's because of the area and their shift changes. So you kind of have to pay attention to like, where do those leads come from? And then what are their time, like hours and shift changes? So like in Schuyler, Cargill, the shift changes around 2:00 in the afternoon. So I had a listing in Schuyler where I did an open house from like 1:30 to 3:30, I think. Literally I had one person come through, and they actually ended up making an offer right then and there while we were there at that open house.
Wow.
And so without me doing that open house, I don't think they either would have went through somebody else or never would have came to look at it. So Cole, I kind of do what you do. Like I wait till that first full weekend to do my very first open house on that following Saturday. I usually like to list on like Tuesdays. I usually like to list on Thursdays, and then I'll do the open house the following week.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like when I'm sending out my postcards, I'll add the open house to it. However, I've been irritated with snail mail lately because I'll send it out like Thursday for the following Saturday, and they still don't get delivered by then.
That's awesome.
Oh,
government work, right?
like I need my money back now.
Government work. Yeah, you're right. I think that's interesting. And again, I'm not the right person to ask about open house. I've never done one. But the way because we got asked all the time, we still do, but the way I always described it to my sellers, because you can make anything into value add to them, right? Is I would tell them, look, the reality is, I've seen data, is less than 1% of houses sell because of an open house. And so the new agents use those to generate their own buyer that go buy something else. And so I'm not going to ask you to leave your house for 3 hours so that I can grow my business when I know it's not going to help you. That's not why I'm here. I'm going to do the right things, and I'm not going to be afraid of the hard conversation. Not saying you are, but this is how we would explain it. I'm not going to be afraid of the hard conversation when you need to adjust your price because it's not selling. Open house is not the reason that it's going to sell. And so we just use it that way. Honestly, to your question, Cole, it's because I didn't want to be gone on the weekends. And so, I needed to figure out a way that was honest with why it didn't make sense. And I know plenty of people, at least locally, that are doing them all the time. They generate nothing. Now, the listing leads is interesting, Shae, right? Because I haven't heard it from that angle per se, but from the buyer, I'm like, dude, you did, 30 open houses and you sold 2 homes, whatever it is, so let's assume that was 90 hours of work. I mean, daggone, you could have done 30 hours of work, sold 5, and then spent the other 60 with your family. That's just how I looked at it, right? Doesn't mean that's correct. That's how I looked at it, because I didn't want to work on weekends anyways.
Right.
And so I needed to make sure that I was showing up and could explain it to my seller in a way they're like, yeah, okay, hey, we appreciate that. Actually, it makes sense. Yeah.
My response to all that and to my sellers is I will say, I'm not doing an open house, dramatic pause, unless we do it with intention, right? It depends on when we're going to list it and how we're going to do this open house and time and all of those things. And I say, hey, listen, I want to let you know that statistically it's about a 2 to 3% max. The procurement of the buyer is going to come through the open house. Is the videography worth it? I want to let you know that 2 to 3%? Probably not, but might be. How about photography? Yeah, maybe. How about, and I say, if we do all of these things with intention, it simply increases the likelihood of your home selling. And that's what I'm about. But if we don't do all of these things with intention, then I'm not going to do an open house.
Yeah.
Anything can be flipped, right? I could say the same thing and say, yeah, we're going to do an open house. Only 1% of homes result in a, open house will result in a sale. But if you don't think I'm going to go after that 1% and every other 99%, you're crazy, right? Anything can be, I'm not, now it sounds like I'm advocating us lying and manipulating, right? I don't mean that.
Right.
I mean, anything can be spun and made into a reason, a legitimate reason of why you do or don't. But to, using that word intention, I like that, Cole, because most agents are just not intentional with how they spend their time or what they're doing, or it's mostly, I found, and now y'all have done them, but I found the agents that I've coached, it's because they're really afraid of having a conversation with the seller of like, hey, it's because you're asking for too much money, right? Like, then just have that conversation instead of spending all that time, right, doing all these open houses. So, we don't need to spend all the time on open houses. I think it's fascinating, Shae, more from a perspective of you are generating, if 76% of your business is referral, which is 60 deals a year, in my head, I'm like, why are you then going and doing open houses? Doesn't mean that's wrong by any means. I'm just literally curious of like, if you're generating that much, what if you just didn't do those? What would happen? Right? And would you spend time doing something else? Could you do something else? Could you do it in less time? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. You're crushing it. You do more deals than me. So I'm curious what that looks like and like, what's the reasoning behind that other than a value prop to the seller? Is that the main reason? Is that, the biggest part for you?
It's so interesting. I get asked that a lot. Like, why are you still doing open houses? And I think it's, the value proposition, but I also think it allows me to re-engage with that property. Because a lot of times when you have properties and several listings that you kind of do forget about them a little bit. Yeah. I mean, you still have ads going and you're still doing all the things, but I think it helps me re-engage with that property. It's like, okay, well, how could we do something a little bit different here? Like, hey, I realize that this carpet really probably needs to be replaced. So what, I need to talk to the sellers about replacing this carpet. I'll have my photographer come back. So I think that's the other reason is it helps because if I'm not intentionally going out to the property, I feel like I worry a little bit that I'm forgetting about that particular seller or that particular house. So I think that's one of the other reasons, but I also have been just doing them forever. So I think I'm so used to doing them. And I also don't know what else I would do with my time sometimes. No, that sounds terrible. But I don't like just
rest,
not doing anything.
Relax, talk to your husband.
I
Like,
know.
what do with free time?
I know.
It's funny. And the only reason I asked is, so I heard this on a podcast, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and this guy just challenged, I don't remember who it was, but he said, most of us are doing, and I'm not saying this about you, Shae, this is a principle that I learned.
For it.
Yeah. But he said, most of us are doing things that we've convinced ourselves matter when they don't. And so his challenge was, what if you just didn't do it?
Yeah.
What would happen? Would anybody be bothered? Would they ask? Would they, so I'm running this. It was a time when I'm running a book club through Faithful Agent. I was like, they want this, they need it. 30 people signed up. Cole, you might've been one of them. I don't know. And I heard this podcast and I'm like, have I just convinced myself this is so important and I want to believe it, but it doesn't actually matter to anyone. So what I did was I sent out a message that said, hey guys, sorry, I'm going to cancel this week. And then I said nothing else after it. And guess what? No one said anything. No one reached out. I was like, dude, I miss it. Why aren't we doing it? Whatever. And it was a moment for me of realizing, man, why was I doing that in the first place? I needed something to do. I wanted to be busy. I wanted to feel productive. No one else actually cared. It took so much energy to get them interested. And then I stopped doing it and no one cared. Right. So it's like, how much of what I do in my day-to-day business does no one actually care about?
80%.
Where I could be buying back time to go sit on the floor and do Legos with my son or whatever, right? Like he does care that I'm doing that, right? He would ask if I stopped doing that. Yeah. Most of the things we do, I think in our business don't matter. We've either convinced ourselves they do, or some person somewhere in the industry has said, this is how you build your business. And we never stop to question, well, is this how I need to build my business? Right. And I think there's so much of our time I'm again, not talking about you. You're obviously doing super well, but maybe just get rid of Zillow, maybe just get rid of open house, maybe get rid of whatever, right? To say, yeah, what would I do? I don't know, because you're used to like crushing it and being always on. But as agents, what would happen if we just stopped being on all the time, right? What would change? And it's going to be weird. The weirdest thing that ever happened to me in this industry was when I stopped doing all the day-to-day sales. I was like, I have all my free time. I don't know what to do anymore because I was so used to 8 years, just like same thing over and over and over again. And then it was, whoa, now what do I do? Right. And that was a strange transition, but a good one for the sake of my family. And now I'm trying to figure that out. Right. So anyways, I think like that principle has stuck with me for a long time. Yeah, go ahead, bud.
You know, it's wild, Shae. And listeners, I want to bring us back to how we started this episode. Right. And we started the episode by sharing a story about Brett and his impact on Shae. And one of the questions that I wrote down as I was listening to that story is, how do we replicate what Brett is doing?
Right.
If we're thinking about impact, especially as faithful agents, the story that we started this episode with was probably the most impactful thing that someone else has done in your life, Shae, in a while. And that's the story that we told. We didn't start with talking about, hey, how successful are your open houses and how many transactions have you done? You started a story by saying, someone I know simply called me and it made me weep. So that's kind of my question to you, Shae, and Garrett too, is how do we replicate what Brett is doing, and how can we change our business to make space for that, if that's truly the thing that actually matters?
And that is, I really what matters, because when you do start making money, you realize that the money is not what you're chasing. You're chasing something different, and you're just trying to figure it out. I do think that a lot of it comes down to your peace. Your relationship with God is really what we're chasing, because we're chasing a void of some sort. And we try to fill it in any way, shape, or form through money and things and stuff. I've never been like a materialistic person. Like we still live in the house that we bought 8 years ago, and I mean, it's an acreage. It's fine. I like it. I love it. But I also have a 2.1% interest rate and it's going to be paid off in 8 years. Like I don't need to move.
Tell our clients that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Time to move. Yeah, you need more space. Yeah.
You need to move. You need more space. Yeah. But I'm never home either. I think if I spent more time at home, I probably would want something a little bit bigger. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it really does come back. I like how you brought that up though, Cole, because it really does come back to how you make people feel. And it's not how quickly did I get their house sold or how much did I sell it for? I think when you can build that personal relationship, and not just with your clients, but even other agents. I tell agents that I train, one of the most important things is your relationship with other agents. Like you need to be able to have good relationships with other people and have a lasting impact. And stop chasing, like when you're working with your clients, don't be just chasing the next deal. Don't like close on this person and move on to the next. Like you want to have that relationship. And I would say that most of my clients end up turning into friends, not like great friends where we're hanging out, but like to where we're like friends. They can come to me, a year, 2, 3 years later, when they need something outside real estate. So, but I think it does come down to peace and making people feel the way Brent made me feel the other day. It was pretty amazing.
It's good. So good. Let's end on that. Shae, how can they connect with you, learn more from you? How would they do that? What's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, I hate social media, but I'm on it. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I think it's Shae, SHAE I don't even know what my handle is.
Yeah.
Shae Spitz. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I got rid of YouTube. Instagram. See, I don't even know what they are anymore.
We'll find them and put them in the show notes. How about that? Yeah,
there you go. You guys just find me and then I'll be there. So
it'll be good. That's awesome. Shae, one of the things I just appreciated about the conversation was your vulnerability and honesty, right? Like that plus your even just the teachability of like, say whatever and I'll listen, and who knows what that means, right? Like that is what has made you successful. Right. And so I hope that agents, among anything, is just the encouragement to be teachable, be willing to learn, right? Be willing to question the things that you're doing and do them well. I mean, there's so much that we could dive into, but that was just very helpful. So I appreciate it. And Cole, man, dude, good job. I feel like, Lisa, B++. Since you were a teacher, we'll give you a grade. I'm just kidding. It was at least an A-. No, you did really well. I'm proud of you, buddy. You can come back next week if you'd like to. Faithful agents, what a terrible way to end the episode. Faithful agents, we love you, and we will see you next week. Hey, Christian agent, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If it resonated, would you take 30 seconds and share it with another agent who's also trying to grow their business without losing their faith, family, or peace? That's how this message spreads. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. I release new ones each Thursday to help you build success that actually lasts. It genuinely fires me up knowing this podcast is helping you pursue excellence to the glory of God, both at work and at home. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode of The Faithful Agent.